Jay's over here looking like this.
All right, is everybody ready? Watch your lights. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's broadcast here at Lanes Raceway. We are doing Indy Heat, a new little bit of a race that we're doing here. Essentially, each one of these racers are going to race on the orange and the green track, very, very similar to how dual GRC works. The only difference being that after both laps are counted up for both tracks, the top three are going to face it off on our arcade game Indy Heat. So we can see so far I'm having a little bit of an issue connecting to our Facebook Live reactions and also having some issues connecting to our poll counter and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut those off so you guys won't see them. I don't know, maybe you guys are able to connect. It looks like everybody can still chat, but we have definitely lost the ability to send the likes and stuff like we usually do. But as we can see, back in normal fashion here at the Indy race, we swap over to another one of our cameras here. Looks like we've logged out a bit too. You can see several of these cars on the backside of the High Banks corner there. Actually there, kind of hard to see, lady playing pinball there. But anyways, here on the High Banks corner of the track, these Indy cars really suffer a lot as the dips in the track are so big where the cutout is, just to simply make it around that High Banks corner. You almost have to have your car set up perfectly to be able to make it around there without having to blip twice. So normal cars that we have racing here at Lanes Raceway, you only have to blip once about towards the end of the track there in the upper right hand portion of your screen. But these cars, on the other hand, it's a safe bet that you should always blip at least twice, like once right there and then once right before you go into the corner, as we see another car coming off the track there on the upper lane. My wife might have to just make her home there by the end of the High Banks corner of the track. These cars suffer a lot on this track, as they just hardly can run. Some of the coolest cars that we have for sure, but at the same token, they are the most difficult to run in my opinion. When we first started running these, we thought that it was like an intermediate type class, but the more that we run them, the more that I watch people run them, it is definitely a pro class here at Lanes Raceway, just simply because of all of the wrecks that tend to take place. Yet again tonight we'll be live streaming on Twitch and on Facebook. We'll be uploading later to YouTube as we get through tonight. If we see a car going off again on green lane, taking quite a licking there. I believe that's Jay Latham's car. When we first started, his car was definitely doing a lot better than this. He was running it on white and green lane. See Randy Kirtley going around. And this is another reason why a lot of guys just do not choose to run IndyCar. It requires so much effort to get them to run on the tracks. And people say, well, you know, it's the track is the issue, not the car. But we have other cars that do just fine on this track. For some reason or another, it just doesn't like the IndyCar. And I don't know why, but it's almost that they're so light and they don't have enough downforce, possibly like how a wing car does, to keep them down, that just the smallest amount of anything makes them lift. And I think where they're lifting right there in the worst possible spot that they can, which is right by the blip, and they just come off because they're coming out going so fast that the tires hook up almost instantaneously coming off of that, instead of kind of sliding as they come through, and it just causes them to grip, and then they launch. And you almost have to like putt around the back stretch instead of normally when you're racing this, where that you can just go wide open on the back stretch. So in a weird way, it's a lot of cautions on the orange track, but at the same aspect, this is the deciding factor that I've noticed for sure, is can you run a good orange track? Because pretty much anybody can run the circle track. It's just a matter of getting your car through it, as there's plenty of wrecks that take place there. But the orange track, especially for the Formula One IndyCar class, or this specific JK class, they do struggle. I've thought about maybe swapping up and doing like Red Fox type chassis or Argentina F1 chassis and stuff. They're harder to come across, harder to get. I think Mid-America even makes an F1 chassis, and just swapping out the bodies that way and maybe trying something a little bit new. Maybe those will stick a little bit better. But really it's up in the air, because I don't know whether or not they would do as well either. But the pans are just a little bit flatter, it seems. A little bit more work to get a chassis going. Bruce Bullington, you see him up in the mix there on white. His first time on an Indy. Well, not his first time. He actually rented one time and started running it. But nonetheless, he got his car out here tonight. Bought one here just a while ago to run in the Indy Heat special that we have. I would love just to take every one of these guys' cars, just have them leave it here at Lanes Raceway, and just let me just run them until I can get them to work, because I will figure it out for sure. As it looks like we just had a car come off there and went all the way up to the high banks there on red lane. Tom Payton not seeming to having too much of an issue there, running a best lap of 2.16. Randy Kirtley, his best lap of 3.13. So any indication to show is that they're running quite a bit slower than Tom Payton. Tom just pretty much giving it the beans on his car, as his is kind of hooking up and staying in there pretty true. Everybody else kind of having some issues going on right now early on. Like I said, those upper lanes are really, really harsh on the orange track that we've noticed. A lot of people coming in questioning yesterday. They was saying, where were you guys? Of course, we wasn't here yesterday. We ended up going and taking a look at a place, and so we kind of took us a day off. So glad that a lot of people missed us for sure, but kind of sad in another way that they wasn't actually able to come in and do some racing. Also worked on quite a few bodies and stuff yesterday. We ended up working on a NASCAR for a friend of ours, and it come out really, really well. Michael Hazlip, he comes down here and helps track marshal, and he wanted to make a car for his buddy, and we ended up making a body for him and stickering it up, and I think it came out quite well. Looks like we got a session that deactivated on us. Try to get that back up and rolling for us real quick. There we go. Yeah, well, I noticed something too when I come in today. We were trying to watch the Daytona 500 in the Cup race today, and it just seemed like every internet that was going on in and around Lanes Raceway this morning just not really doing all that well, but we didn't get in here till right at 3 o'clock. Went to church before we come in today, and of course that pushed us a little bit late. Come home at 8 and then started showing up here. So of course we were supposed to start the Indy Heat at around 4 o'clock, and here it is going on 5:30. So looks like we got a few of the cars going off. We're finally through round 1 of this 8-round robin heat. Take a quick look here at TrackMate. We see Randy Kirtley there. He's out in the lead, running very conservatively there, 30 laps. That's similar to what you would see with a GRC, about what the guys run with GRC. That just shows you how much they're off the throttle. Him and Tom Payton too, they're 27. Jay Latham right there behind them with 25. Bruce Bullington with his brand new car, no time to, in his words, cheat it up yet, with only 11. So Bruce will definitely be able to figure it out and get that thing up and running. There ain't nothing I've seen that Bruce hasn't touched that hasn't just come out being really, really sound and true. Take a look over here at the oval cam. We see all these guys there. Deep thought after that first round for sure in their pit areas, working on it. See up in the upper left-hand corner, that's the deciding factor, ladies and gentlemen. That's Indy Heat. These guys are going to have to face off. Top 3 guys facing off in a race on Indy Heat for who's going to get the win. And we're going to try to live stream that for you guys, the final. And that'll be something a little bit different. I'm going to try to get up overhead of them, and maybe it'll come in. It's old tech for sure. So you might get some screen tearing for sure, because I'm just going to be videoing, like I said, the screen itself. But I'll assure you the guys are not seeing no screen tears. The guy that repaired it and did a very good job. It's about as mint condition as one can be for being as old as it is. I've never seen one in better condition than the one we got here at Lanes Raceway. And the guys, the kids, they all love it. Tom Payton really enjoys Indy Heat. I think he's made it to about the 5th or the 6th race in the actual campaign of the game before finally getting beat. But nonetheless, the guys really do enjoy it. We see here kind of a quiet, tight night. Really nice, beautiful night, really, starting to be. It's starting to be a little dusk here at Livermore, Kentucky, but it's kind of like one of those nights that kind of reminds me of being next to a beach or something. The lighting just kind of feels like a nice breezy night on a beach, but it's definitely not that warm. It's a little cool out there, but warmer than it has been for sure. Spring is definitely setting in, and I think it'll just be a matter of a couple weeks before we're into some really nice warm weather. I haven't decided yet if I want to do a garden or not, but I'll be right back with you. All right, just having a conversation here with Tom as we have experienced a red flag condition on the track. Um, right now, one of our racers, one of the four racers there, Bruce Bullington, suffered a rear axle defeat. He brought that in. He said he'd like to have him one that was true. And I told him, I said, well, I got a G7 axle up there. It's the strongest of the lightweight axles. But nonetheless, any of those lighter weight axles are not as strong as like something that would be like a carbon steel, just solid axle. But those G7s do tend to hold up a lot better than like a hollow axle or something like that. But he was running just a standard blank 332nd JK axle. We've had quite a bit of issues with those as of late. Guys actually opting to do the Pro Slot axles instead, as they tend to hold up a little bit better. But the ones that seem to come on the JK, it's kind of just like a bargain bin style axle that the guys have had on their cars, and just one good solid rear end hit and they just bend. So hopefully the Coford will work out better for Bruce as he moves on and gets it put in. Yet again, like I said, it's a hardened steel, but at the same aspect, there's less metal there. So definitely want to try to be a little bit calm, at least starting out, to make sure that his car holds together around green, white, and red. But once he gets a good fit and a good setting in that, then I say give her a little bit of a push at least whenever you get on orange, blue, yellow, purple, and black. You'll have less turning weight there in the rear end and a little bit more speed to compromise between the two. But like I said, everybody's like, quit telling everybody, Tom and Jay and them was like, quit telling everybody all the secrets, you know. And I said, well, you know, I help every one of you guys cheat. I try to let every one of the guys just get their stuff set up the best they can. IndyCar, not really. I mean, we got rules set up for them, but we've really not developed such a series yet going on here forth that I've really implemented just a strict set of rules when it comes to the racing. As long as I see the guys within a certain amount of gear ratio and close enough to each other, you know, unless we start getting just a tremendous amount of people, I hate to limit it so much that these guys can't run together. And like I said, most of these guys you seen last time are just within a few laps of each other, not to the skill level on these cars at least, unlike the GTP, where that there's any kind of worries that we need to actually start tightening down on the rules. But the guys know that if we have to tighten down on the rules, get a little bit closer to the rule set as we continue on, maybe in the future when we do get these cars under control on the orange track and get them set up to actually run a series in the future. It definitely won't be the next series for sure, but when we actually get them set up to actually run the series and these guys got a good setup and we can tell everybody how to run them and we get a little bit more time to spend with them, then yes, at that moment we're going to definitely collapse in, kind of like how we did with the GRCs, and come up with a firm rule set that we kind of lock in. Same thing goes kind of with our wing car. We call it a Group F, but we got so many different types of chassis and everything else that people are running, because at the end of the day, it's a hobby. We're here. We're just trying to have a good time and get as many people as we can race against as possible, while staying within a certain amount of laps of each other where it doesn't feel like you're just getting completely blown away. And I think we're accomplishing that, at least the goals of that right now currently. But we're heading back green racing here. I think Bruce finally got his car situated back under control, got him a new axle in there, a good flatted axle. And like I said, the guys, they were coming to me and they was asking some questions and saying, hey, do you got any just regular flatted axles? And, you know, usually I carry a bunch of them. And I guess just over the time, just not paying attention, we've sold them. So we're kind of just limited right now to flatted hollow axles and flatted, well, really qualifying type stuff. So it's definitely been a weird day for sure, as I've sold 2 G7 triaxles for the Indy cars today, and that's one to Randy Kirtley and one to Bruce Bullington, which those are $23, $24 axles, very, very expensive axles that usually guys run in wing cars and stuff like that. But you can see that they make a little bit of a difference, especially in acceleration and braking, but you really have to be looking close to see that they make that kind of a difference. You do get what you pay for, like if you're trying to build like the perfect car, but it all has to come together. And these cars are really not built to where that they can be the best of the best for sure. So they're JK stamp chassis. They're not like wing cars that you can build out. But it's very interesting to see these guys racing with the higher end quality type stuff from Colford and other brands. We just recently got in some Daytona stockers because Tom Payton was swearing by the silicone tires that we got for him last week or so, and you can see how these Indy cars are handling. They're gripping so hard going around the S-turns. It's kind of abnormal to see it. Usually they're so weak in the rear. So we get 2 cars coming off there. I don't know whether or not they were caught up in each other or what, but 2 cars coming off there in the high banks corner of the track. Chelsea Kirtley gets Bruce Bullington back on. I'm hoping that new axle we put in there ain't bent for sure, as that was a pretty hard hit too. We seen. She's coming in here right now making ugly faces towards me. Tom Payton there getting the other car on. Silly, well, whatever. Tom Payton there getting his car back on green. Randy Kirtley nowhere to be found currently. So Randy Kirtley's car still hooking in there really good there on white. We see red and green, Tom Payton and Bruce Bullington there, just trying to keep the car somewhat alive as they're up on the upper lanes there. Randy Kirtley somehow or another got his car straight and true as he's running it hard. See another car there coming off. I believe that to be Bruce Bullington yet again, coming off in the high banks as Chelsea Kirtley hurries up and gets him put back on. We get a quick yellow flag there to take place. Randy Kirtley really pushing the issue against Bruce there. Both of them kind of staying there neck and neck until coming out of the highlights there. We get another corner turned around and another car off in the high banks. I don't know if my wife can grab that car or not. I'm hoping that ain't Bruce again. Wife's messing with it. It does look like that is Bruce yet again there on red lane. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this group of cars very, very tough to distinguish in just the feel of them. They're just so close to the edge of what can be ran for the most part. It's tough. As Bruce's car comes off there in the S portion of the corner of the track, he's taking a look at his car to see what's going on with it. Said hopefully he doesn't have another bent axle. I pray that he doesn't, but he's definitely having some struggle issues here on the orange portion of the track. Maybe it'll get better when he goes to the circle track. And that might be maybe a key. Maybe run a couple more heats in this, just get him some laps going on the orange track. So orange track you can only run pretty close to 200 laps when it's all said and done, a little bit over. So at the end of it, you could maybe just get by with running a little fewer laps and make those laps up on the circle track, and hope that one of the other guys maybe burn a motor or something up on the circle track. So I don't know. Bruce, like I said, he didn't have much time coming in to work on this car, and threw one together, and it's very hard to get one to go good on the orange track just starting out. So, but we see Randy Kirtley there, 2 laps ahead of Jay and Tom, as Jay and Tom are kind of reeling them in. And then Bruce, of course, there with 29 laps, not having too good of a time there up on the upper portions. And he may be able to bring some of this back, too, as he starts to go down the lanes a little bit and not have to suffer the blip station as much. Minute and 40 seconds left to go. We're going to head over to the oval, and as usual, you see Bruce up there working very diligently on his car. And if we could get this done quick enough, we might even have us an oval race with the GRCs after this. Now, I know that's Bruce's strong point. I know he's probably been working on his cars, and so is Jay. So after we get done with these 2 races, this race should be pretty close to being done as soon as we get this one over with on the orange, because the green track goes pretty quick with the Indy cars. They tend to hang in there pretty good, similar to the NASCARs and the GTP. So not a whole lot of wrecks take place usually. I say usually. We don't know what tonight may hold. It could hold nothing but a wreck fest, but usually they don't. We usually get through those races pretty quick. And then it'll just be on to the arcade game. So we're looking probably at another hour and 20 minutes or so worth of racing Indy cars is what I would estimate. And then we can maybe move on into some GRC action, which these guys were expecting when they come in the door, but we kind of changed the schedule on everybody at the beginning of this week. Once we got the arcade game in, we want to try to incorporate the new arcade game in somehow, and that arcade being Indy Heat. We just thought it was fitting to run Indy cars and then settle it off with a race on Indy Heat. I believe we see Lewis here. He says, yo, mate, what's up? Well, just racing some slot cars, man. Glad you stopped by. And, of course, all these guys out here giving their best, having some struggles with the IndyCar. They knew that coming in. Everybody here has raced IndyCar before other than Bruce Bullington. So all of them kind of know the dangers of being on those upper 3 lanes. That's why I let the guys actually have the track buttons turned on tonight, as we got 2 track marshals. We got Alicia, which is Bruce's daughter, and then Chelsea, my wife. Alicia, actually a big fan of Lanes Raceway's live streams. She is one of our biggest commenters for sure on it and on Facebook, on Twitch and Facebook. And I think she's like a Diamond fan or something like that on Facebook. She's from Georgia, I believe, and it's good to have her down here with us and hanging out with Bruce and Jay and all of her family and everything. And like I said, she's a blessing, of course, to my wife there, Chelsea, too. They're just 2 peas in a pod for sure. So both of them there helping track marshal really kind of frees things up, and I know they enjoy their time hanging out and everything, watching these guys race as hard as they can. Jay, of course, you see him there at the end of the track there with his ball cap, just right, probably fixing to go pick that car up, actually. Yep. Jay, he's getting that car there that's on black. He's in our series. We're running a truck series currently right now, and this coming Sunday will be the next race. Not this Sunday, of course, we're racing this now, but the next Sunday we'll be racing it and live streaming it. And then the following week on that Thursday, we'll be racing that same series. So we have every week, there's at least a series race either on Thursday or Sunday, and those points will be tallied through an 85% handicap, because it's an intermediate race schedule for all racers. So even if you're running in the back, a lot of the times it just comes out that they end up actually running in the front. We had Nathaniel the other night on the circle track. He ran up front because he just stayed closer to his handicap. right, sorry about the delay. Yeah, Lewis, my brother, he kind of is the one that sets up all of the internet associated stuff. He's actually in Washington right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, we do definitely probably need to spice it up a little bit for sure, especially for the guys. We tried to spice it up a little bit when it come to uh, the series that we had. And of course, we had some sponsorships and stuff from the local area and the surrounding areas. Um, and of course, we would have little commercials and stuff set up for them, and little cutaways and stuff for trophies and stuff that we were giving away before my 3D printer decided to completely destroy itself. But yeah, I mean, we're always open. You can probably reach us at lanesraceway@gmail.com. That's one way to reach us. You could also just give us a call here, area code 270-278-1400 here at Lanes Raceway. And I can receive those calls anytime during the day. Of course, not during streaming, I don't answer them, but my wife will answer them. And we can maybe try to work something out, maybe figure something out. Always trying to push things a little bit further and get more people interested in slot car racing. It's been a big part of many people's childhoods, and these older adults, of course, you know, they're just living their childhood dreams for sure racing these. More focusing primarily on winter time, as you'll notice most of these guys actually run dirt cars or asphalt cars during the summertime, so they don't tend to race as much slot cars during that time. See Randy Kirtley over there peering over there, probably watching the Daytona 500 right now. So all these guys, for the most part, just really obsessed with racing. As we continue on here at Lanes Raceway in the future, plan on having a few VR simulators where we're going to combat the guys even further. But all of it is to intermingle and mix with older technology similar to slot car racing, more of an analog age type stuff like pinball and arcade games. Just kind of a little bit of nostalgia in a world that's kind of got really, really technologically advanced. And we kind of want to try to bridge the gap in between those two, make our racers really feel like they're racing, but it's wintertime, you know. So, yeah, I mean, I love the idea that you got going on here. I know you said you was lurking around and came across here, but yeah, I love the idea of the custom graphics and stuff. That stuff's kind of beyond me. Not really artistically bound for the most part, more logistical in my mindset. But yeah, definitely reach out and contact us on our email, or just give us a shout one day. Maybe we can try to figure something out. So we go back green racing here. We've seen every one of those racers there just a while ago, working on their cars, doing the best that they can to keep them up and running. You know, I kind of paused there a while ago. There was a reason for that. As you can see back here, we're fully stocked up slot car track. We got snacks and drinks. A lot of time I'll be saying something. Of course, I'm letting you guys see the tracks and everything. But I'll be saying something, I'll just stop talking. Well, that's because I'm putting it on mute, and I'm actually going and helping customers as my wife is track marshaling right now. So don't think I'm just like completely losing my mind and just quit talking. It really just comes down to that. But see my wife there, she's getting that car put back on real quick. I think that might be Jay Latham's. Before the race even started, we ended up, let me see if I can grab one of these cars real quick. So here's how they come. They come in little boxes like this, little JK, just standard boxes. But before the races, especially on this orange track that's been built here for Lanes Raceway, right here in the nose, we have some issues here. So what we do here is we kind of fill that up with, what do you call it, hot glue, and I usually put some lead, like flat lead in it. And that just gives it a little bit more nose weight to where some of these guys can actually go over that hump that's in the track without it making it derail. It doesn't work all the time, but sometimes it works. And like I said, we're constantly trying to figure out how to make them work a little bit better, a little bit more smooth anyway. Lewis says, what's your Discord? I will DM you in my portfolio. I believe our Discord is set up also as Lanes Raceway. Let me just take a quick look here. Pretty much everything we have is just Lanes Raceway. Now, my brother, he's really, really smart behind a computer, and he's probably the most intelligent person I've ever met when it comes to the language of a computer. He's a lot like me, though, when it comes to being artistic. We can get some art going on, but it's definitely not as nice as what a lot of people can do. We actually hired a person before we opened to actually create our logo, and I think they did really well. We're always reaching out and trying to get other people to help us out here, especially on things that are somewhat discouraging sometimes. So yes, if you go to our website, which is lanesraceway.com, on the front page there is a section there where we have a Discord. I believe you can press that, and it should take you to our Discord if everything's up and running. Of course, we're just now really getting this place up and running and started. In the future, we plan on being able to distribute and become more of a force when it comes to the way we want to push slot car racing in the continental U.S. Kind of make it catch up a little bit with the European style stuff. You'll see a lot of these guys running natural European rubber tires versus the old school fish rubber and stuff like that from Colford. A lot of guys say it's the same stuff, but just a little bit different compound. Either way you look at it, we're always just trying to keep the edge of what this 1960s hobby, trying to keep it out there in the forefront, as a lot of the times you see people wanting to run RC cars and stuff like that. But I don't think that this is a dying art for sure. I believe, in a weird way, I believe it's just getting started yet again, especially with all of the TrackMate software and stuff amping up. You may know that quite a few people still drag race these cars, and some of the drag races, there was one I think last month, they had $1 million drag race at a place in the United States. And I mean, that's big money just to be messing with slot cars. So we want to kind of try to push something like that. Just really, it's a little bit different than like simulation racing. It's a little more analog, a little more socially bound. Kind of like how dirt tracks around your local area and stuff like that do. We want to be doing kind of similar to that, but it's inside this building, and it's during the winter time where nobody's racing. So we want to bring our racers that race dirt and asphalt together in one place to race during the winter time, make them all combat and fight for a victory on a slot car track, because it's all about the throttle and there's not a whole lot you got to learn, especially when it comes to control of that car and everything else. We see Randy Kirtley there with the total laps of 118, Tom Payton close behind 111, Jay Latham on Tom's heels with 110, Bruce Bullington with 86. Seems like he may have his car back under control as he's running a powerful 30 laps there on blue. So that's really put him out there a little bit. It is now settled in. It is dark out here at Lanes Raceway. Next door, La Cabana Mexican Restaurant. Some of the best Mexican food I've ever ate. And I can honestly say that the guys and gals that run that show over there are really, really good guys. Glad to have them as neighbors here in Livermore, Kentucky. Also, just want to bring to everybody's attention, we did have that pinball tournament the other night. Had maybe some issues the other night too, as Bethy and Spanky, they were our first and second. Bethy had some issues with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I believe it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It might have been Rush. one of our pinball tables, but she was signed in and it didn't get her grand champion. So I'm gonna have to go and look at that, write her score down, and I'm gonna see if there's a way that I can force update Stern Insider. See Tommy T here, get here on the oval stream. You can see him in the top left up there, crouching down, peeking through the window. He's got the new motor heat sink from Mid-America, cooling his motor off. Tom usually blows on his motor and keeps it nice and cool. Still does, he says. So, you know, he's always trying to keep her as cool as he can. Good to see old Tom back in the mix for sure, as he loves the IndyCar. Jay Latham getting his car put back there on the donut portion of the track. As we're in round robin 5 of 8, these guys actually keeping their cars on a whole lot better than they was before, mainly because there's not as many people up on the top. Everybody's down low on this one. From blue down, that's where we're going to be racing, so everybody should be able to get a really fast turn going on this one. Already into a yellow flag, a little bit of a push on the car of Jay Latham there as he's trying to make as much of an advantage as he can, trying to gain laps against Tom Payton. See him and Tom Payton somewhat neck to neck there. Every one of these guys having just a little bit difference in gear ratios, but nonetheless really pumping it out there. We really like to see these guys pushing neck and neck like they are. Tell you what, though, really kind of sad to see that I haven't seen Drew in the past couple weeks. I know he come in and he helped us live stream a couple weeks ago. You know, Daytona 500's on. I bet he's somewhere watching that right now. Can't say I blame him. That's the Super Bowl for him for sure. Excuse me. But I do miss having the conversations with him as a narrow miss takes place there. Jay Latham just narrowly missing that car that falls to the high banks corner of that track on orange. I almost think sometimes it might just simply be the differences in compound for a lot of these guys. These tires are so low to the ground and the hubs are so big that there's just not enough cushion there for when they do go across the dip of the track there about where Tom is. As we see another hard come off there, possibly Bruce Bullington's car. It's either Bruce's or Tom Payton's car there that come off. But I'll tell you what, I hate to see that every single time when people come off on that portion. It's such a loud thump, and that was Tom's car that come off. And I remember back when we had this track in the basement, right after we first built it, it was a real hard track to get used to, especially on black for the Indy cars. We ended up doing some modifications with Lexan just to give it some sort of vacuum. We ended up making rear diffusers out of Lexan just to keep it sucked to the ground on black. So we don't allow that in the rules here, but at the same time, these tracks are not meant to be the easiest things to run on. They're meant to be somewhat of a challenge, and this track definitely is probably one of the highest challenging tracks that I have raced since I've been doing it. Now, I'll say back in the day when I ran on the old Blue King track, I really enjoyed those times for sure as a kid. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade game playing, and playing Pinbot and Spy Hunter, and, you know, watching my brother race wing cars on the Blue King, and those days will just never fail my memory. Some of the best parts of my life, really, just carefree, being a kid about 4 years old, you know. But yeah, I really did enjoy it, and I mean, partially some of the reason why this exists today is just simply I remember the feeling of just being around guys that, you know, really cared for each other, and it was a good social thing to be around everybody, and we all had fun. Very similar to this young man here in the left portion of the screen. He's playing some pinball. I was very similar to that back in the day, playing pinball myself. Just hanging out with my brother and my cousins and riding around on big rig trucks that were like 1/32 scale and crashing cars. Of course, NASCAR back then, you know, it was Tim Richmond and Kel Yarborough and stuff like that when I was a kid. We all had the big old huge plastic cars. We used to beat and bang each other with them. And of course, big NASCAR fans. I mean, NASCAR, I still love NASCAR, don't get me wrong. I love the way that the cars look nowadays, but like a lot of guys and gals say, it's just gotten almost very similar to Formula One, the way that it's all laid out and stuff. It's not so much beating and banging and can I build me a car in my barn like Days of Thunder style, you know. It's more or less not stock cars, but, you know, Formula One cars. These cars are built, they are racing machines, and I think it kind of takes some of the passion out of it. But nonetheless, I mean, racing's racing. I love racing. I love watching people compete to get those better lap times and everything. The track coming off there causing Tom Payton's car just to come a high-speed come apart simply because he wasn't able to keep that downforce on his car. It's when the track comes off, you got no brake, and it just sends cars flying sometimes if they hit the dip just right. That's what took place. Nothing really wrong with his car. It almost hit the top of the track, but it came back down there in a nice little smooth fashion. Jay Latham's car there on yellow, though, really fast as he's making some real moves there, keeping Randy Kirtley there on blue off of his tail. But Randy Kirtley pushing a little bit harder there on blue, really trying to make a point here as he dives just a little bit deeper there on the underside of the bridge. Randy Kirtley probably in this next lap going to be able to make a pass here on blue. As he makes that pass, Jay Latham actually collects into a wreck on the donut portion of the track. But very, very close, tight racing there. Some of the tightest racing I've seen since we started this race. And I love to focus in on that kind of stuff as we see Jay Latham's car really hauling the nail there. He's not very scared at all when it comes to holding it down there on yellow. But the simple push of these cars, especially with some of the weight that we put in on the front nose of these cars, helps them to not pop out as much. And they can put that weight down onto the rear tires and maybe keep them from packing the fronts as bad. Some of these guys are actually using weighted guide nuts to keep the front down, but they have better technology out now, weighted guide flags. Very hard to get. Mid-America sells them when you can get them. That's the issue, when you can get them. Usually whenever they come available, they sell out quite quickly. Randy Kirtley there with 150 laps now. Jay Latham, 139, just 10 laps down, really. Tom Payton, 135. Bruce Bullington, 116. Bruce actually faring out well as we see Bruce Bullington there actually pushing in a 30-lapper, tying up with Jay there. Tom Payton only getting 28 on purple. So Bruce is now starting to turn some good laps. We see Bruce Bullington there on green also turning 27, only to be bested by Randy Kirtley there on green. So this could actually turn around for Bruce, especially when we move over to the oval race coming up next. Bruce definitely has a chance to get in the top three. Only 4 racers. Was expecting a bigger turnout for such a special event, but maybe we waited too long to announce it. So we didn't get as big of a crowd as we would have liked. But nonetheless, I'm appreciative of these guys racing the Indy car, keeping it alive. Several of the guys having Indy cars, hardly ever getting to race them. We always have Racer's Choice Friday, Saturday, and Thursday. Excuse me. So they can always choose it, but a lot of the times the guys they like simplicity of GTP. They like the simplicity of GRC. Those are the guys' 2 favorite classes. They love racing them. They love having a good time. So IndyCars kind of just went to the back burner just a smidge, and, you know, we'll see how things change in the future. They might actually enjoy the toughness that is required to race these IndyCars from here on out, and we'll see. Somebody I haven't seen in a bit that usually comes with Jay is Connor. He usually comes in here, and when we race IndyCar, Connor isn't quite bad at all. He's usually running in the top 3 on the orange track for sure when it comes to IndyCar. But play a little Warzone with him and Jay every once in a while, and we have a pretty good time too. Other guys join up with us too. But how's it going, T? You hungry? Huh. Well, is she? That's good. Talking about squirrels?
Having a squirrel moment. I'm like, that's me. I'm squirrel. She said they got this squirrel that throws nuts at home.
Well, yeah. That'll happen. Race is starting in 5 seconds. See my wife back there. She's working hard on something. I don't know what it is. She got her a snack. Working hard on eating. But all the guys and gals, well, just guys tonight. But guys, the gals going out there to track marshal. Guys going back racing. We see them neck and neck. And a yellow flag is a car twist coming through the S corner there. If you guys caught that, and she was running out there to get that car. That car doing a full 360 there. I've actually seen those cars before do a full 360 on the GTP coming through the S turns like that in their lane, 360 and land back in the slot and keep going. Quite something to see, really, because you know they don't intend for that to take place, but it is cool when crazy stuff like that happens. First week we was open, Glenn Burton come down, and I had my head peering underneath the bridge to catch cars so we could live track. And his car come off on the front stretch right before the start finish line, hits the pole, bounces off the pole, and hits me in the head underneath where my head's under the bridge. And it was just a lap before they was telling me that, hey, you need to watch your head, you know. And I was like, oh, I think I'm all right here. I should be out of firing range, but I wasn't. You just never know if you're in the firing range or not with these cars. They got a mind of their own. They tend to just fly and do whatever they want to do a lot of the times. We was racing, actually, this class, me and Guillermo Sauer. He's also in the latest truck series that we have. And it come down to the last lap. We come out of the High Banks corner there into the start-finish line there on the track, and he actually got into contact, and I ran up into him, and he contacted into me, and I was inside the back of his bumper. And we were stuck together, and we were spinning around together as one car, and then the timer clicked off, and we were on the same lap. And his car come to a rest in front of mine. Literally, the back of his car was in front of my car because I was inside of him, and he ended up winning the race. And that was like one of the only races that we didn't get live streamed, and it was such a moment. And I sometimes think too that, you know, memories and stuff like that are sometimes best just kept memories instead of being photographed and stuff, because it's something personal to you. And it just so happens that that's something that me and Guillermo Sauer is always going to cherish, as that race was so close that day. And I had such a big lead, but man, I was falling apart that last heat, and he was catching me, and he just wasn't breaking. And that's how racing is. And, you know, that's kind of the romance that I think NASCAR kind of misses nowadays, is that, you know, these cars are so well tuned and high performing. There is no mistakes to be made. There's nothing that can really go wrong that could change the outcome of the race for a bunch of these individuals, because they're at the top peak of the technology, and it's actually abnormal if a car blows up. But, you know, slot car racing ain't that way. It's not abnormal to see a car smoke. It's not abnormal to see cars get bent beyond recognition, break lead wires, or go down constantly throughout the race. And we see several wrecks for sure. I kind of like that. I like the guys really sweating to do the best that they can. Like we're seeing right now, these guys are really pushing to do what they can. We see Jay Latham there on orange, actually reeling in Randy Kirtley now a little bit, as he's got 13 laps. Randy's got 16. Randy actually turning more laps, but he has actually turned in quite a few more laps than he did in the previous heat, because he's within 10 of him. But somewhat falling apart now, it seems. But they're Jay and Randy. Jay there on the backside of Randy as he makes the pass on Randy, but Randy drives it deeper under the bridge there. Jay Latham coming on orange. Randy having to make some pass in traffic. Jay Latham keeping it on. Randy kind of backing it off a little bit as he goes around, saving space for Bruce Bullington on black. Bruce kind of lets a blip take place. Randy kind of losing almost a half a lap on Jay as Jay now is quite far out in the lead. Randy crossing that gap just a little as he drives deeper each time. Trying to get about 2 car lengths, it seems, every single lap as he gets caught back up in traffic with Bruce Bullington. We get a red flag to move on into the next heat. This is heat 6 of 8, but this heat's not over as the button was pressed with 1 second left to go. These guys still have a second left to go. We'll see if Randy Kirtley's going to push the subject and make the pass here under the bridge coming in this last second here on purple. And he thought about it, but then he checked up there just to not cause any damage more than needed to be. We'll go over to TrackMate real quick and see how good everybody's doing. We see Bruce Bullington there turning 30 laps, I believe. So he's tied up with the most on everybody. So he's starting to come into his own there. 21 laps, though, a little bit shy there on black. Kind of abnormal there. We'll see how things shape up as we continue on. But he has 137. He's still in the mix. It's just 30 laps difference. He's going to definitely have to make that up on the circle track. Jay Latham with 167, closest to Randy Kirtley. Tom Payton kind of dropping off a little bit now with 160. But Randy Kirtley holding strong with 180 up on top. But all these guys really, even Randy Kirtley, only averaging 30 laps on these Indy cars. It just goes to show you how much lift has to take place with these cars as they're running very similar to how our GRCs run. And our GRCs run wide open. So, and they're actually slower. So that's what's crazy. So it just goes to show you can be fast, but if you can't keep it on the track, fast really doesn't help you much. So it's all about timing with these cars. It's definitely a racer's car. And a skill to be developed beyond what the GTP and FCR guys have to deal with. A minute and 30 seconds. We'll be right back with you. I'm going to grab a drink, and I'll see you soon.
Injury report. Sorry. Guys. Alicia.
Hello, Tony Michael. Tell my beautiful wife we miss her, and her daughter Layla says, "Hi, Mom. Go Bruce." She said she's going to wave at the camera. Her and Chelsea are helping track marshal now, Tony. It's good you stopped by. And, by all means, anytime, Tony, you get a wild hair and you feel like these guys need to stop wrecking, we were just having a conversation, me, her, and my wife. If you get a wild hair and you feel like these guys are wrecking too much, you let them know. Say, hey, quit wrecking. That way, when they go back and they watch this stream tonight, see how good they did, it may give them some encouragement through the comment to stop wrecking so much. But really, this is a tough class. I think you've actually seen this before too, Tony. Just how hard these Indy cars are to run across that blip. And especially on the higher lanes, it's so tempting to not blip with these cars. But if you don't with these cars, it is definitely going to cost you. As we just seen Jay Latham's car come off there. We worked on his car right before we started this race. So I think he maybe took the... they're all talking to Jay, telling him he needs to blip. But, I mean, even sometimes blipping, you almost got to blip twice. You can kind of see where the tires are really biting down there at the corner of, or the beginning of the downforce of the track on the high banks. That's the second place almost you have to blip with these. Where normally cars you don't have to blip right there because they got enough weight to them that they set down. But this is a specialty case, these Indy cars are. If you don't double blip, especially if your car is really fast like Jay's, if you don't double blip, a lot of the times your car will come off just like it did right there. He blipped the first time, but the second time he didn't get it in time. It's a real finger twister, I guess you would say. Tonight, I'm enjoying a hillbilly peach tea. I hope Clay's not watching, because Clay will be like, that's my peach tea. Clay, he does enjoy the hillbilly peach tea. And you know what? It's the first time I've actually tried one. Everybody's been raving about them. And it's a light tasting sweet tea type taste with a little bit of peach, which I enjoy. Now, I will tell you this. Nothing beats like going to a Chinese restaurant and getting their sweet tea. That stuff right there is enough to rot your teeth right out of the skull. But I can't have nothing like that right before I'm going to have to go to bed shortly after I leave here. This right here is plenty enough sugar for sure. If we had a car coming off there, my wife really quick to snag his car, almost completely wipes Bruce off the map there. But just in the nick of time, my wife was able to grab that car. She grabs another car there in the donut and gets it put back on. And that was the car of Tom Payton, as he got a nice, beautiful coast there after the track was called. That was our round robin 7 of 8. So we got one more heat after this. We see Bruce Bullington actually making somewhat of a comeback here, running higher lane laps and stuff associated there with his yellow, running 28, just one down from Jay Latham. But he's actually making up for where he really got hurt early on, being this is his first time running with his new car. Was only able to run 18 and 11 laps respectively on red and white. So we all got one heat left to go. Bruce is going to be able to turn a pretty impressive orange here. Tom Payton holding somewhere there in the middle. Not making too much of a spark, but I think he's holding off, just trying to stay in that top 3, waiting to get on the more downforce inclusive track of the oval, which we'll be going to next. And we see all these guys in their pit areas next to the oval working on their cars. And I know Tom really wants to do a face-off there on Indy Heat. Like I said, I'm going to take the iPad out there, and we're going to get that final race on the iPad, watching them race Indy Heat and watching them beat and bang on each other. I might give them one race to where that they can practice before we start, but you know, I'm hoping these guys really make it pretty good to see. So one car on the Indy Heat will be red, one will be white, and one will be blue, just like the American flag. And of course, whoever's got the most laps, we'll let them pick the driver station they want. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be a very interesting final heat to see who's going to take home first, second, and third. A little bit different than just racing slot cars. Eileen Bullington says, yeah, I agree with Layla. Papa Bruce, get your head in the game. Layla said hi to Chelsea and said to tell Papa Bruce to get his head in the game.
I will later show you on the
And you can count how many times he says stop and put some liquid to it.
You're welcome. Tell her I said hello.
Chelsea said hello.
Your mother is here also.
They
Hello,
know.
Lulu.
Your mother says hello. I hope y'all heard that. Here, let me get the mic close and y'all can yell it into the mic.
Oh, who else? Hey, Lulu. Love you.
Love you.
That was both of our track marshal ladies
Yes.
as they're helping us
We're gonna get
tonight.
badges.
Free of charge because we can't afford to pay them. Heading back green racing as they go back out there to do some track marshaling. We see these guys going to give it everything they can give for sure here in just this last heat of the race. Randy Kirtley's car really moving quick and straight. It's quite surprising that how quick he can do with his controller. He uses a lot of the mash button brake system, or the EPS I think as it's called, on the DeFalco controller, giving him quite a big advantage. And I think everybody out there actually has that controller, if I'm not mistaken. So they all would technically have that advantage if they would use it. But essentially the system itself gives 100% brake whenever you let off versus whatever is set to your coast on your brake knob. So if they use that and they bypass it, then like for instance where the blip's at, they can get that full brake to stop them really quick in an instant. And I'm starting to see that that's what Randy Kirtley is using. He's blipping, but it almost looks like he isn't. And it's because he's using that. He's getting that full brake when he goes across red, white, and green. If you go back and review some of him racing. But you see now there Tom Payton on white, look how much he slows down there. It's quite substantial, and you can see that he's losing a lot of time doing that. That's just essentially because he's not taking advantage of what his controller can offer there with that ESP. Now, if you do take advantage of it, like I said, it's something you have to learn, something you have to practice. And I'm sure Randy Kirtley would probably help these guys out to figure that out. Randy Kirtley's down low enough on the track now. He's pretty much wide open. My wife, Chelsea Kirtley, there, trying her best to get a car back on red. Jay Latham kind of suffering some loss there. As we get another car, Randy Kirtley and Bruce Bullington's car coming off there in the donut portion of the track. But these ladies doing a real well job here. I'm definitely thankful for them as they're helping track marshal this track so that we don't have to use Ghost, because nobody likes using Ghost just simply because it makes the race go longer. Even our racers don't like Ghost. They like them. If we don't have track marshals, they like them, but if we can gather enough people to do track marshaling, they would rather not, just simply because the race goes smoother, they can get in and out of the game better, and they don't have to track marshal. I would say probably the latter is the biggest reason. They don't like track marshaling. As we get a car come flipping up on his head there, I think that might be Jay Latham's. Yep. Jay Latham's car coming through the S portion of the track, doing a complete turtle back there. It is definitely allergy season. I found that out today. It looks like here in Kentucky, where I'm located, it's going to be cold one day, freezing. The next day it's going to be somewhat warm. The next day it's going to be cold. The next day it's going to be somewhat warm. Who knows here in Kentucky around this time period and around fall time. You just really can't guess. It could snow up 12 inches and then be 90 degrees. But it's definitely dry today. As my sinuses have been taking heed to that, as it almost looks like I'm a crybaby for the day. Doing a lot of tearing up, wiping my eyes for sure. Randy Kirtley's going to end up winning that one. We're going to take a quick picture of this track mate as we're going to move on into the circle portion of our Indy Heat dual race for this week. But currently right now we have Randy Kirtley in the lead with 239 laps total. Jay Latham with 221. Tom Payton with 211. 191 with Bruce Bullington. Like I said, it's still anybody's game as we move on into the next portion of this race. First, second, and third, literally, these laps don't matter except to get you in. This is like satellite racing, essentially. If I go back over here to the live stream here on the road track so I can use my hands to talk. Okay. This is essentially satellite racing. So both of these races, we're going to add up the laps, and the top 3 people with the most laps get to move on to Indy Heat. Now, that's all that matters, because even though they're racing slot cars, what's going to boil down to who wins is who wins on Indy Heat. That's the specialty thing about this race series that we're doing. Well, not series, but this series of races that we're doing, I guess, 2 races. And that's what makes it special, is that none of these guys are well versed at all in Indy Heat. I know that for sure. So the competition is definitely going to be on the edge. These guys are going to be wrecking each other, not knowing what to do. And they're only going to be able to practice 1 or 2 games, and just to know the basic rules of Indy Heat. You guys are all going to get to watch that. I think it's going to come through. It's going to be funny. These guys are going to be laughing and cutting up, trying to do their best. Or they could be really stoic and serious. Who knows? But that's yet to come. We're going to be moving over to the oval track here. I'm just going to get to the big screen portion of this so you can see all that going on. I want to take a quick break, go out there and check on the guys, and then we're going to start moving directly into this, and I'll see you guys soon. Right now we got 5 minutes on the circle track. I'm still trying to get the stream and chat and everything working here. And the chat says that it is working. Getting some animations and stuff. Having some issues authorizing through Facebook Live for some reason. So what we'll do is just turn those off, similar to how we did on the orange track, so you don't see them and it's not annoying. But we see Randy Curley there in the bottom right of your screen. They're checking to see if Jay Latham's car has any brake. Just went out there and talked to him about ESP on their controller, and he believes him and Tom both don't have full brake ESP on their controllers, which is what we just got done talking about on the orange track. It could be a big reason why these guys were coming off so hard like they was before. I also let the guys know that essentially these two races are just added up laps to see if you can make it into the final, which is the top 3 Indy Heat face-off. And that's what it'll be for these guys getting their track bucks. So essentially this is a dual GRC race, but that's what it'll be charged out as, but it is called Indy Heat. You know, very, very cool. While we're waiting on these guys, I want to make sure we have the VCam up and running correctly. I'm going to have my wife actually come in here and check something for me. Okay, let's see. Center up on that bolt there. It just looks so zoomed in. Let's see. What's up, man? All right, dude. Tom Payton, you know, Tom Payton. Yeah, I don't know why this is so zoomed in. I believe it'll work, though. Hey, T. Can you check over here on the stream? I want to, like, do this, make sure it's centered over the game.
Okay. I see the game. Go down.
Baby, look. Oh, is he trying to get the whole thing?
Where are you going?
Would that work?
Yeah, but you needed to go down just a little bit. Right there.
And get those Joby sticks.
Now, how you gonna do that? Oh, that's right.
You know how this thing is just like off sync? Like it shows me this on the screen, but it ain't correct.
How are you
So
gonna?
we know it'll work, right?
Yeah. You gonna hold it?
No, I don't need to.
Is this good?
Give it a shot. Get back up there. All right, so that was just a little bit of a test of what you guys are going to see here later on. The wife said that it all worked out pretty well, and I hope it did. So I can't wait to see these guys sweating it out, throwing steering wheels. We might get a couple of different views of these guys, maybe trying to kick each other off of their driver's station if it gets too close. Got about 30 more seconds before we're going to start inputting names and moving on into this next race. Are they going to deliver that over here, Tom? Your food.
What food?
10 minutes. We can run a couple of routes.
10-minute Tom. He Mexican food next door at La Cabana.
It was a super.
Hey Tom, did you fluff your hair?
I think it looks really nice. I'm sure it's going to say something. Hello, people. Is anybody on
Tom,
there?
get in here too.
Is anybody on there?
Let's see.
You're right. I can see why he's squinting.
No, just us right now.
Hey, hey.
Hey.
He said, we want to stop wrecking.
Stop
Chelsea
wrecking.
wouldn't have to work so hard.
Well, she would fix my nose, it would not become an airplane. It'd be back along.
Well, hey, I'm novice.
All right. There it is. We are going to board out of this and get these guys put in here.
Oh, look at me.
You're in the corner. Like, wait, Guzzy?
Why do I look resting?
Here's the funny part, ladies and gentlemen. These are your track marshals. They have final say in whether or not they shut the track off for
That's
these
true.
racers.
We,
So they might just want to see guys destroy their cars so we can sell more parts here at
That's
Lanes
true.
Raceway.
if you want to be here, you got stuff going on. It's like the Air Ricky Bobby
Yeah, I don't know.
interview. I don't know what to do.
She goes. He's like,
The guys are doing
Yeah,
real great.
y'all ought to stand in here and I'll find it and I'll clip it and that'll be our picture for this race. Y'all doing this.
I don't know what to say.
he's like, and then
Undrink Big Red.
yeah, like big red.
Undrink Fitz. Like I'm gonna put my hand in front of my face. Wait, I'm not even in it.
It'll screenshot when I get it.
It's because we were laughing over there, and then they made Chelsea work it.
And then I showed her this face and I said, how funny would it be if my face was in it like this?
Oh yeah, she.
Like that. And then she,
Be rough.
he's like,
I wouldn't know where to look when I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
You know that's awkward. It is awkward. Cause you start looking, if it's a side eye, you start looking in that direction. I've done that.
All right.
Okay, go see.
All right, everybody. If you would take a T, will you swap this over yet? She's going to swap us over HDMIs. Then take a quick look up there at your screen, and that's where you're going to start. Jay Latham on red, Bruce Willington on white, Randy Kirtley on green, Tom Payton on orange, and T has your stickers up here in the shop.
I just think the kid's getting Tommy the kid. What's his name? Thomas?
Tommy T?
Tommy the kid.
Yeah, Tommy the Kid. Yeah, T. Hey, Tom, she's the one that gave you the nickname, the Kid.
No,
I went back and watched that video.
Did
you?
So look in the comments.
It's a good name. I don't mean it that way. Yeah, that's right. The kid's coming.
Hey,
Like
if there
Billy
was a
Kid.
Billy the Kid now, it would definitely be Tom.
Tommy
Like,
the kid.
he's ruthless.
Get it, Tommy. Yeah, you gotta be.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing it. Or actually, I'm seeing it. But nonetheless, you'll watch it later.
Oh, wait, if you.
Randy Kirtley there getting his stuff up, putting his car up there at the start-finish line. Your track marshals in the back, they're ready to go. They're excited.
We are.
Tommy T right there, also known as the Kid. He's excited. He done said he's going to run a ruthless race this race. He wants in the top 3. He wants to run Indy Heat.
Bless you. Could you sneeze quieter? We're doing my. Sorry.
Alicia says, could you sneeze quieter? We are live talking about Randy Kirtley. And I know one woman in this world that would agree, my mother. She is always on to Dad about his sneezing. He's been sneezing like his head off since I've known him. He just sneezes, especially when it rains. It's bad. Like it's one after another, after another, after another, after another. And this is literally the worst time for him. My worst time allergy-wise is actually in the fall time, but Dad and rain just don't mix. He sneezes like crazy. It's going to be interesting to see as we continue on here just how much it's going to take for each one of these racers to get in that top 3. And I think throughout this race we're going to like maybe go back over with some of the previous laps just to see how close some of them go to being there in it. I believe Bruce Bullington, he definitely does have a trigger for the oval track. I've raced against him And I was thinking, just being as confident as I am when I race, that, I'm going to put my FCR out there and race with him, and I'm not going to have much problems. But I'll tell you what, the other day whenever I raced with him, I can't remember who else was racing with us, but it's been a few weeks. But I raced with him, and I was giving it everything I could give, and he was still just walking me. So he definitely does have the rhythm for this track, and I would love to see if he's able to make up enough laps to get him in the top 3 to race Indy Heat, because I think it would be quite entertaining to see him and a few of these other guys racing on the old school arcade game, Indy Heat. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And we got 4 of the guys ready. When we see Bruce get hooked up, we'll make sure everybody's good to go, and then we're going to go green racing. Take a quick look out here at the parking. Everything's clear. Nice night. Tom ordered him some pizza over at La Cabana a while ago, so he's ready to go for sure. He's going to run a couple heats before he tries to get him some pizza going. I think that's what he said he was getting, which I didn't know Mexican restaurants sold pizza, but if they do, I might need to check in on that. Mexican pizza, possibly. I've had their Mexican hamburger, and it's pretty good. All right, is everybody ready? All right, here we go. And we're going green. They're keeping their eyes out. You can hear the Indy Heat do-do-do-do-do-do-do in the background. Leland Company, creator of Indy Heat, also creator of Super Off-Road. We see right out of the gate these guys are moving and hauling. The male Randy Kirtley, Bruce Bullington, there neck and neck. As we see Bruce Bullington kind of having to give up just a little bit, or Jay Latham having to give up just a little bit to Bruce Bullington since he's there on red lane. Bruce Bullington down on white. Randy Kirtley trying his best to chase down Tom Payton there on orange. Just kind of staying right up on his backside, just kind of giving him a little bit of a scare tactic as Tom Payton gives him a little bit of a pass by, allowing him to go by. Actually a nice move. Not what Tom was saying a while ago. Really, guys, ladies and gentlemen, Tom is a sweetheart. I let him think he's tough, but he's a good dude. Deep down in his heart, that dude is a good dude. As you could tell right there, you let him go by. But he'll walk away and he say, I'm going to put them in the wall, I'm going to drive them dirty, but Tom just never does. And we can see that Tom's actually having some issues there with his car. I hope it's not something that causes his car to be gone, as Tom is quite good at Indy Heat. He's only raced it a couple times. When we first opened, he was the one to come up with the idea for this Indy Heat race, and I thought we'd go with it because for sure it's a good idea. I love it when you mix multiple branches of racing together. Any kind of racing's fun. Everybody loves it. Getting to the finish line first. But yeah, you've seen that act of kindness from Tom as he allowed Randy Kirtley to go by there. He could have easily just kept running as hard as he could, and could have been detrimental for both of them. But like I said, we definitely have some personalities here at Lanes Raceway, and me and Tom have grown to be quite good buddies. Also, Tom cracks my wife up quite a bit, and it's just good having Tom around here for sure. Of course, I love every one of these guys, different ways, Some of them are very intellectually smart, know what they're doing. I take a look here at Jay Latham or Randy Kirtley, both of them very, very intelligent. Jay Latham there, when it comes to building these boxes, he built this box for my brother. I'm telling you right now, that is the best looking slot car box I've ever seen. It has like a beautiful leather strap on it, these black handles on it and everything. It's a lot of work him and his dad put in to do it, and I'll tell you what, you can't be ignorant whenever it comes to building stuff like that, because it all has to go in a certain way. It has to be routed out a certain way, and he did an immaculate job. Randy Kirtley, when it comes to putting these tracks together, keeping them running, functioning, problems with people's controllers, cars, and all that, he just knows slot cars for sure. He knows electrical 20 times more than that. Of course, he did it his whole life. Kind of did a little bit, about half of my life, I guess. I don't know if I'm middle-aged yet, but it sure feels like it. But nonetheless, Bruce Bullington coming in here, another just very intelligent engineer mindset of a guy. very kind-hearted. All these guys, I just love being around them. And that's partial of the reason why I leave so late a lot of these days, and I'm so tired, is because I just don't want to go home either. But then tomorrow's another day, and you got to get up, you got to go to work, and it's just like anything else. You just get tired, and you don't really want to have to deal with it. But then when you get there, everything works out good. You're back around family, friends, and like-minded individuals who love racing, and I sure do love racing. See Randy Kirtley out there really pushing the subject there. I'm curious on how he's able to even keep that car in. My wife quick hands McDraw there. McGee, I guess, not McDraw. Getting out both those cars put back on in a timely fashion. All of these guys, really impeccable eyesight as I'm watching people individually braking when a wreck takes place there in Dead Man's Corner. It just shows you their skill when it comes to this tri-oval track. Most of these guys have all raced this tri-oval track. Kind of mesmerizing to see them all evenly spaced out here. It just goes to show you, even with those cheater axles, cheater gear setups and everything else, all these guys running relatively the same. But these Indy cars hooked up, it looks like, as we're going back live on this 8-heat expedition round robin here. Difference between 7 laps total between first and last place, and I'm sure that's just simply because of the few wrecks that we have seen. All of these guys running neck and neck. Like I said, it's really anybody's ball game here. As we see Bruce Bullington, he's back in the mix, ladies and gentlemen. 69 laps total there on white. If he keeps this up, or he's making 4 or 5 laps per heat, he'll easily make up that 20 or so laps he lost on the orange track and be able to compete for that first, second, and third battle on Indy Heat. What a quick first heat we just experienced there. Bruce Bullington way more excited now that he's on a tri-oval, and that car is humming right out of the box. That baby is quick. Running 69 laps whenever Randy Kirtley's running 71 on green, and he's running 69 on white. It's just very curious of what he can run when he's down on lower lanes. But that baby out of the box is quick to deal with. So I'm excited to see, as we continue on in these further heats, just how close of a battle this is going to be. Jay Latham up there straight giving the duster to the backside of his car, maybe possibly cooling off the motor. We do sell heat sinks from Mid-America here, and I'll tell you what, I've had some Mid-America stuff that's been great. Their Days of Thunder bodies are the best looking Lexan bodies I've ever seen. You know, I've had some stuff that's bad from Mid-America that's come in rusted and stuff like that. We understand that there are people over in China putting these things together, and you know, you don't always get the best build quality, so we always encourage people to go over their cars once they get it, make sure everything's tight, true, and up to par. We even had a few Mid-America stuff that the pinions wasn't soldered completely all the way on them, and they would spin the gear just as soon as they got laid down. So you know, good stuff and bad stuff. But I will say this, the heat sinks that are from Mid-America do work. When you stick them on a motor, I've literally touched the heat sink of Tom's after he's put it on his motor, and you can feel how hot that heat sink gets. It's just like one that you would have in a computer, essentially. But you see him there, he's blowing on his Indy car, blowing on his heat sink, trying to cool off the heat sink even, I'm guessing. But he is running that motor to pieces in this heat for sure, as he was quite quick that last one. In 20 seconds we'll be rocking and rolling again. Tom Payton going to his respectful position. So he's got the blue and green grips there. Him and Brennan Dant chose to swap each other's grips up a little bit. They are Team 5%, is what they said, and they want to start a team for maybe later on when we start a crew scenario, enduro race or something. These guys, they've already got their team set up and ready to go. So we're going back green racing here. We'll head over to the live streams. We get a breakout to take place. I might have to fix that. It's a little bit it's set for
Dad's working out.
I seen it. Alright, what is the top speed? 1.6. We'll do 1.4. It's fixed. All right, so you seen Randy lose a couple laps there as he hit the breakout of 1.6. Must have dialed in pretty close, just essentially because they're all running right at the 1.6 mark. So I set it to 1.4. If those cars are turning 1.4, they're wing cars, ladies and gentlemen. But nonetheless, we see some guys getting into 1.5s for sure. So that's quite a big stretch there for them to make it that low. Randy Kirtley, of course, sacrificing a few of those laps just simply because it was set on GRC. He'll just have to eat those. I mean, you know, it's all on their screen like it's on mine. What you're seeing in the top left portion is what they see on those 55-inch TVs out there. So they can see what the breakout is, just like we can. I can't think of everything. You know, I do the best I can here. I did fix it in a timely fashion. I think him and Bruce lost a couple laps that time. I know he lost more than Bruce did, 3 or 4 laps, but, you know, just making it more competitive, I suppose, as we got 2 more cars there going down to the bottom portions of the lane. I think Bruce and Tom was involved in that incident. Hard racing. These guys have got these babies locked up, and just like true fashion IndyCar, we got circle track racing and we got GP racing. That's one of the biggest reasons why I've always liked IndyCar, just a hair bit more than I have Formula One. Formula One's always Grand Prix style type stuff, but IndyCar, I love it. Tony says Alicia is like Bruce's pit manager. Yes, that is true. Bruce is always open for people to let him in on some inside info for sure, and she might have some of her inside info of her own, as she is one of the track marshals. Then again, she told me a while ago, she's like, they need to quit wrecking, so she might have said something similar along those lines, and we'll see what happens. Is we can be for sure the women in our lives are always going to try to push us men to be better than what we are. We do enjoy our women doing that for sure, as it always pushes us to the higher mark to be better in life and in social environments. Randy Kirtley there in the 70s, just hanging out there. Bruce Bullington, man, he is hanging on by a thread in the 60s as he's running 69-69. He's up there, ladies and gentlemen. Making that spread by 6 laps between him and Jay Latham. Tom Payton kind of falling off a little bit here with 125. One thing he does do a lot of is put these Indy cars on the circle track, especially when people come in. He wants to show some of the faster cars for people, and Tom will burn an Indy car motor down like you would not believe, and this could be some of the situation taking place here. Going to be about 1 minute and 40 seconds. Going to take a small break, and I'll be right back with you. live stream. Sorry about that. Took you to the orange track there. Hope you enjoyed your time there. We're back. Tom just barely in the nick of time getting back to his car. He's like me. Take a restroom break. One thing I love about Lane's Raceway, we got plenty of soap, hand detergents, and paper towels. Wash your hands here at Lane's Raceway. We love cleanliness. We love people to not be sick all the time. Tom, on the other hand, he was late to his controller. He's got him some food ordered over at La Cabana, and he knew he had just a certain amount of time to get over there and get it. I think he's got food on the mind. That's probably why Tom is down low right now. That and he's on the upper portion lanes. But his car looking like it's running quite well there on red. It's running pretty quick. He's got a good rhythm going. And suffering a little bit from everybody else just simply because he's so much higher than everybody else. But get a car coming off. My wife quick to get that car back on. Instrumental, my wife is, to Lane's Raceway and the further success of it. And you see, she's not afraid of cars. I've seen some guys out there, though, well, they're like this, trying to get their cars. You know, scared to touch them, afraid to get hit. Not my wife. She's come in with welts, busted up bruises. This goes to show you how tough these ladies are, especially whenever it comes to putting these cars back on. And my wife is not to be messed with either when it comes to racing some GRCs. She may have caused that incident there, as she got a little bit of contact on one of the cars and sent it off underneath the track there. At least you're getting that car put back on blue on the high banks. We appreciate that. Tom Payton wanting to take a look at his car as he come high speed, come apart, hitting one of them as the wreck ensued. I guess tonight, if everybody wrecks in every lane, we couldn't call it a full J, that being named after Jay Latham there next to Randy Kirtley and Bruce Bullington. But we could call it a half J. Because we got half of a full field here. So if everybody wrecks, we'll call it a half J. Randy Kirtley coming off. That makes everybody in the field come off this heat. As Randy Kirtley comes off yet again there on purple. Trying to stay ahead of Jay Latham there on blue. Jay Latham kind of letting off a little bit there as he's maybe afraid that Randy was going to come off yet again. But on the high side of him, Bruce Bullington's car smoking there on green as it's going through. Very, very quick as we get another round rotation here. Like I told you, ladies and gentlemen, these cars, Indy cars, are quick, and I knew that they were going to be quite a handful on orange, but the circle track, I figured they would hook up a little bit better and we'd be in and out of both of these races within an hour and a half or so. And it's looking to shape up as such, as we see Bruce Bullington's fast mobile going 72 laps, one lap greater than Randy Kirtley's there on the green. He's getting in that rhythm, and that thing is hauling the mail. We got a tie here right now, 210 laps for 210 laps. Jay Latham there in second place with 204. Tom Payton rounding fourth there with 186. We'll see if Jay is able to make up those laps, as he tied up for 72 of those laps on blue, tied with Randy Kirtley. So all three of these guys' cars running very, very quick. Tom Payton's car kind of just a little bit down when it comes to averagely speaking here. He's down by a few laps here from everybody else. Whether or not that's issue with his car is yet to be known. Heading over to the oval here, I'm sure Tom, he's either working on his car or he's done took off out there to get his Mexican food. But we don't know yet. Nope, there he is. I can see his leg there in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. So he's getting his car in order before he gets his Mexican food over at La Cabana. But I'll tell you what, I'll tell you like I tell you almost every week, La Cabana, some really, really good food. Not as busy as it usually is at La Cabana. You know, most of these people are here racing. You know, from about here back is all racing. But it's kind of abnormal, really. This place is usually packed with slot car racers and people eating La Cabana, but it's been kind of hot over there the past couple days. I think they might have turned the fan off or something, but the weather's gotten a little bit warmer too, so there may be some issues going on over there that I don't know of, but their food is still great. I mean, the best around in my opinion, and I've ate quite a few Mexican restaurants. That and Japanese restaurants are my top two for sure. I don't know about you guys. Why don't you let me know in the comments what your favorite place to eat is? But I'll tell you what, I love me some California rolls, man. California rolls, dragon rolls, and spicy tuna rolls, man. I love them. I'm not a big fan of the cooked rolls, like the, what do you call it, the deep fried tuna rolls. I'm over here talking about, you know, eating and stuff. It's just gonna make me hungry. It's just gonna make me hungry. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of them. But I do like the raw fish rolls. Heading back green racing, our track marshals taking their respectful positionings, and we appreciate them as always. Randy Kirtley there on black. Look at that thing just step out. Boom, 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 boom. But it's still hanging in there somehow, as he's probably got those wheels really, really close to the ground, keeping him on. Couldn't tell you exactly what it is about the way that he builds the car to keep it on and make it so tight and true, but it is definitely tight and true. Him and, whoa. Well, something went up there. I don't know what happened.
It's like, oh no, let's see.
That wasn't right. Uh-oh. I don't know. I literally do not know what happened. Huh. Uh-oh. It's fixing to completely knock this race off, so we're fixing to have issues here. One moment. Let me get a picture of this before I do this. All right. So that just killed that. Usually whenever it just cuts the laps into nothing like that, we end up with these issues. So what I'm going to do is we're going to subtract those laps off of the guys. We're going to start another race format here. We're 4 heats. And I'll be right back with you. If everybody's ready. All right, so we did have a runtime error. It all messed up, but they'll run these and I'll just add it in at the end and subtract out the 18 or 19 laps that they had before. So we're essentially just starting that heat over again. Couldn't tell you why the software does that. It's done that about 3 times since we've been open. I don't know why it does it. Just every once in a while it does a runtime error and it ends up like knocking off a minute or so of the track time. So anywho, we'll get through it as we always do. Because right now is about where it ended. So they still had about 1 minute and 30 seconds left to go on that heat. I'm actually going to grab a piece of paper now so I can get this organized and fixed. I'm going to grab the paper to track their laps out, so all I have to do is add these laps at the end of their 4 heats. Alright, so I got all that, double checked my work just to make sure. Before that heat, Bruce Wilmington had 210 laps, Randy Kirtley had 210, Jay Latham had 204, Tom Payton had 186. We'll essentially just add that to that when this is all done, and they'll get their correct laps for the circle track. And then after the circle track, we'll add those laps to the orange on top of all that. I'm starting to get confused myself. Once that happens and we get all that stuff added up, then we'll know who our top 3 are.
Can we go? We want to go bunk beds.
What?
We want to go bunk beds. We're best friends.
You want to build bunk beds, huh?
Tools and everything.
Well, you're
Can
grown
we go
women.
bunk beds?
You're grown women. You can do
So much
whatever
more
you
room for
want.
activities.
So much more room. So much.
No, we're just talking about stepbrothers. You have to call me Nightbot. What's the other one?
I know.
Dragon Force or something?
Dragon Hawks.
I don't know. Call me Dragon. I think that's his name. Just Dragon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You have to call me Dragon.
When that cat got that baby bunny on her girl's fridge, I learned to say, "Grandma, come quick, there's whatever." A baby.
You knew about that?
I was there.
You knew about the
That
rabbits.
That when bunnies apparently are being scalped by a cat, they cry like babies.
Yeah, it's
And
so sad.
It is. Grandma, come quick, there's blood everywhere. And
You
there
saw
was.
a whole crowd of buzzards circling the house.
Oh,
Oh, this morning.
They better run, ladies and gentlemen, as they are going green. Kind of funny conversations going on here at the shop at Lanes Raceway is Randy Kirtley. Oh my, we just had a half J take place here at Lanes Raceway. But my wife was able to get the cars put back on in somewhat of a timely fashion as Randy Kirtley takes a side drill shot there from Jay Latham. Time not ticking down, but everybody's car's falling apart. Under high stress load there for sure. As they were all rushing to get back to their cars, this essentially gave them high adrenaline, I suppose. And maybe just made their trigger fingers not work correctly. Randy Kirtley trying to go in between the two, kind of letting off a little bit. As the guy on the high side of him, Tom Payton, he makes the move on him. Tom Payton giving another break for him as he makes it. A little bit of a hook up there. Jay Latham getting hooked in the track, it looks like. So he ran a little bit deep and gassed it a little bit hard coming out. Essentially hooking into the track there a little bit with the guide flag. One way to negate that a little bit, a lot of people will take and just kind of grind off the molded areas there or sand them off and get it nice and smooth. And that keeps them from kind of getting gilded up and hooked up a little bit. But we see Randy Kirtley there getting involved in an incident that took place just ahead of him by the black car, Jay Latham. All these guys, though, so far for the circle track, it's like they're racing a completely different car. All of them really hanging in there. As this is technically our 6th heat of 8. I know it shows 2 of 8 on your TV right now, but we did have a runtime error just a while ago, so definitely not that long. Lynn Burden says, "Hey, buddy, we are at the hospital with Nathaniel." T showed me a video earlier, and the baby to me looks healthy and looks like it's doing quite well. I know me and T's been praying for the baby and praying for Nathaniel and his wife, and of course you, Glenn. And I hope all's well up there at the hospital for sure. And we're going to keep on praying, and of course the Lord's going to make a way where there seems to be no way. That's what I get the feelings out of everything. Looks like there's a little bit of an issue there with Tom Payton's car there, kind of just a little bit sluggish. I know for a fact if Glenn wasn't at the hospital, he would surely be here, him and Tom both, having themselves a cot in the back and a, what do you call it, a mailbox in the front, collecting all their mail here at Lanes Raceway for sure. Both these guys love racing that much. Him, Randy Kirtley, Glenn Burden, all these guys, they're just, they're down here all the time racing. They love it. Trackmate, Randy Kirtley, out in the lead. Bruce Bullington, out in the lead. These guys battling back and forth on these Indy cars. Jay Latham really, really close there with them, though, within just a few laps of them. Tom Payton kind of suffered, like I said, a little bit there with 125. So it seems to me that Bruce and Randy, like I got their laps here wrote down, 210, 210. So they're tied still. Neither one of these guys giving the other an inch. Very focused with their minds on their money and their money's on their minds. All of them over here prepping their cars, getting ready to go back out there to fight in this 7 of 8 round robin heat. Glenn Burden says, check my mail for me. I will do, Glenn. I will do. So far in the mail for sure is no mail is good mail. I don't think you have any right now, but you'll be getting some in the near future, I'm sure. I know Tom was upset yesterday that we were closed. Me and T, we was going to open up at around 3. We had some things we had to get done. Wasn't able to get them done as quickly as we wanted to. It was going to cost us to be here quite a bit later. So we just went ahead and decided not to have the track open yesterday. So we made a post. Not going to be here. We'll be here Sunday at 3. And we went ahead and canceled it. Well, we upset Tom, Glenn. Glenn, I'm telling you, Tom was upset that we were not open. He was wanting to be in here that bad. He didn't have nothing to do Saturday, I think, but him and Bo ended up going and hanging around. I actually waved at him, too. You too, huh? Well, I'm sorry. Just trust me. It's for the future development of Lanes Raceway. All of it is. So, you know me. I'm always on the grind. I'm always trying to make this place better, and anything associated with it, for that matter. And I've got some plans in the future. So, Lord willing, if everything works out, it's going to be quite fun for us. So, we'll see what happens in the future. 2 cars getting involved as they both ran deep there in Dead Man's Corner. My wife, also kin to Octopus Arms Randy Kirtley there, we'll call her Squiddly, she is able to get those cars on in a pretty quick fashion here. All of them kind of grouping up here now, whereas before they were all like fanned out, one. It was somewhat mesmerizing. My wife able to get the car on there, somewhat fanning them out yet again as we see that fan a-rolling, one after another after another. These cars running quite quick. I almost think too, Glenn, and you may feel this too, I don't know if you're still watching or not, but whenever the cars are going around in a circle and it seems like they're evenly spaced out, when one of them comes off, does it feel like to you that like there's just a little extra power given to your car? And you think that maybe that's what causes cars to come off a little bit more? I'm thinking if so, maybe we need to get some batteries on this orange track. Because I felt like the other night, whenever I did race GRC, it kind of felt like that. Or NASCAR, I'm sorry, not GRC. But the NASCAR, when we was racing with Clay and them, it felt like when a car would come off, and the track wasn't being killed, mind you, but when it came off, it felt like that there was just a little bit more power, and it was like, whoa, you had to let off a little bit to let your car just like calm down a little bit, almost completely throwing off your brake zone. I could be wrong. I mean, I guess the only way to really check that is if we put some kind of kilowatt gauge or something like that on it to see if there's some sort of amperage change. I don't know. I do know that essentially these are all kind of tied together in a weird way. At least draining from the same power source there. I do find it funny that when one car wrecks, at least watching these streams, it seems that another car wrecks right behind them, even if it's not in a full contact position with them. So it looks like here in the 7 of 8 heat here, we're seeing a little bit of a spreading difference here between Randy Kirtley and Bruce Bullington there. Bruce Bullington there on black, about 4 laps down from Randy Kirtley, but both of them just running hard. We see Bruce Bullington straight giving the old bullhorns there as he cannot let up now as he is racing for the victory here. And I can't say that I blame him. In a situation like this late in the game, if you see Bruce Bullington coming on black, you best be letting off on the backstretch because he's full speed ahead, full train rolling, black coal smoke flowing. They push hard trying to get around the wreck. Well, I mean, that's good input too, and I don't know. You know me, Glenn. My mind's always a reeling, man. I'm always trying to figure how we can make it just a little smoother, just a little more better, if there's a way, you know. We're definitely going to find it. You know that, Glenn. If there's a will, there's a way, and I definitely try my best to live life that way for sure, as I know you do too. We're going to make that will happen one way or the other. All these guys, though, I mean, you look at this, pretty good racing, Glenn. 61, 62, 62, 57. I mean, man, these guys they're right there on each other's heels, just beating and banging. It's really good, close racing. You know, I don't know if you tuned in and watched any of the orange race, but man, that was pure debacle. The old blip station there on red, white, and green, it was hard for everybody. Trigger control, indeed. Yeah. It was something. But it seems like they got it all under control here now anyway, as they're all kind of, like I said, it's been a few times in this race, they've all kind of fanned out, and I've just been kind of mesmerized by it. It's simply because nobody's gaining or losing on each other. They're so clustered up here, they're able to actually push a little bit. I think that's a lot of what these wrecks are being caused by. They're all running so equal, it's hard to get an upper hand on one another. But Randy Kirtley there, we see him with 216, making a little bit of a gap difference there between Bruce now with 210. But he was in the middle there, so we'll see how things shape up whenever Bruce falls back there on yellow and see if he can do better than 68 laps. It's really depictive of what Bruce was able to run there on orange also, as we can't tell that information now as we had that 505 error, dev error. So we'll just have to add these laps up after this heat and we'll see how things go. But all of them have raced real hard. And then, of course, coming up after this race, we're going to head right over to Indy Heat with our top three after we add this up. And I'm going to take the iPad out there and we're going to film the whole thing while these guys race for a race-off for who's going to get first, who's going to get second, and who's going to get third on Indy Heat. And I don't know if you're excited, but I sure am, because I know none of these guys know how to race that game. So, you know, it's definitely going to be pretty weird to see these guys as they get down in there beating and banging on each other, trying to get around the track the best they can. Now, of course, I'm going to give them a free game to let them just get their bearings. But after that, it's on them. They better figure it out after one. We got 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go. Take a quick peek at these guys. I'm going to take a break, and I'll be right back with you. All right, last heat here, ladies and gentlemen. Did not get to watch the orange track, yeah? Well, yeah, give me a call later, Glenn, for sure. Let us know how things are going with the baby. And, you know, we're very proud of you guys and happy that things are going well. And we're going to, like I said, just continue to pray. Thank you for tuning in and watching a little bit of the oval race here with us. I hope you get to stay tuned a little bit longer and watch them battle it off on Indy Heat, the arcade game. As it's a little different. A car coming at full speed come apart there as we see Chelsea Kirtley quickly grabbing that car and getting it put back on. That's the car of Randy Kirtley. Of course, Bruce Willington, very pleased to see that as he's able to make up a few of those laps. Like I said, from the orange track, Bruce having a little bit of struggle going into the orange track. So him being able to make up so many laps here It's really going to boil down to him and Tom for sure who's going to make it into the top three. Being there's only 4 competitors here, there's only going to be 3 going to the top 3, of course, to face it off for Indy Heat. But we'll see how it goes. We get a rider there on white, and it just gets mail sent. That baby went almost to the orange track. Or maybe my wife caught that thing out of the air. If she did, she's got White Sox blood in her, ladies and gentlemen. She was able to snag that dude out of the sky. Unless that was pretty quick getting it back on there. She may have ran to the car. One thing's for sure, though, it's very scary to be running to the car. I done that on the orange track about a month or so ago. Split my head wide open. You still see the scar right here. That little mark right there. Whew. Split me wide open. I was gushing blood. But I tell you what, I take my job serious. When I say I'm going to get the guys on there the fastest, I mean it. I think The Rock said it best. If you go to the gym and you work out harder than the next guy, and you say there ain't going to be nobody going to work out harder than me, well, that's me. But I don't work out. But I put cars on tracks. When I'm a track marshal, ain't going to be nobody putting cars on faster than me. Not even Octopus Arms Randy Kirtley. Tell you that right now. I will put a car on quicker than quick, faster than fast. Back to racing. We got another little bit of a cluster up here, but everybody kind of staying at their own little space there between black and yellow. Of Bruce Bullington and Tom Payton. They're kind of just running together. Randy Kirtley there on the high side of white there. He's already had a few high-speed counterparts as Bruce Bullington kind of falls off there, giving the lead to Jay. Jay Latham now out there in the front as he pulls into second position. Another car comes flying off again. Is that Randy Kirtley on white again? Randy Kirtley having some issues there on white as he just can't keep that baby in the groove. This is abnormal for Randy Kirtley. Usually he's got that baby sewed up tight. But in this situation, not so much. White Lane giving him quite a bit of a fuss. Whether or not it's tires getting low, dirty tires dragging the bottom, who knows? We get a red flag, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take a snap pick right here. We're going to add these laps up. We had a tie there at the end between Bruce and Jay for 280. So we're going to add all these laps up real quick, and I'll be right back with you.
Hello, everybody.
He's adding stuff up. Wait, they got one more heat.
They're saying they got another heater
They don't.
because they don't have one sticker left.
They shouldn't. Because look,
They each have a sticker left.
right there it says 4 of 8.
I don't know. They're saying they have a sticker left. Jay has white. I think somebody had a green. They didn't do.
That's on red.
Okay, well, I'll continue on.
We
That's
don't
what
know.
they're saying. They're like, they didn't need boxes.
We're just in the middle here.
Well, I thought it was over. Well, evidently it wasn't over. Evidently they got another heat. They only ran 3 heats, I suppose, before it went bad. So there's another heat, but my picture showed that they were on 4 of 8. So I don't know. We'll see. If they all have stickers, I'm wrong. So definitely I am wrong. Anyways, I just spent all that time trying to add all that up. But one good thing is all I have to do is now officially add whatever this heat comes up with. So that won't be too bad. So right now, for instance, Randy's got 8 laps, Jay's got 9, Bruce has got 9, and Tom's got 9. So at the end of the heat, I'll add those to it, and it should change. But what I've got totals here, it's not going to change so much that anybody can be caught at this point. Because the difference is pretty different. Wow, that car went flying like a razor blade in the sky. That was on red lane. Randy Kirtley's car did a cartwheel across the whole side of the track there. Looks like it about hit Mr. Woosley there while he's sitting in the pits. He loves watching these races. We enjoy his time too. Brought us some chocolates a couple weeks ago. Man, I'll tell you what, I tore into them. The wife, she had some too, and they were great. So definitely thankful for that. Not really, me and my wife never really big Valentine's Day people. I got her some sushi and we watched a scary movie, which I hate. I'm not big on scary movies. Maybe you guys are, but she watched herself some of that Megan movie, and not necessarily scary, but suspenseful, I suppose. I watched a little bit of it, but once I started seeing that girl take off running in the woods on all fours, it was enough for me, and I decided that was all I needed to see. As it looks like Randy Kirtley's car coming flying off again. Whether it's an aerodynamic issue or not, I don't know. But that baby took off flying, about taking my wife out. Maybe he's out looking for more pocket candy. I don't know, but I know she's got it in droves for sure. Speaking of pocket candy, I think I'm going to enjoy myself a stick of gum. Bad habit, nonetheless. I like it. To be honest, I got a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth after drinking that tea. Good tea. It's just, you know how tea gives you a tea taste in your mouth afterwards. Not a big fan of it. Uh-oh. Well, that was something. Everybody let off simultaneously there. But it looked like there was like a glitch in the matrix there. And several of those cars were like boosted all at once and let off at the same time. We got a cluster up happening here. This cannot last long before wrecks take place. I'm hearing slaps of the bodies as they go around the track. But they were able to hold it off as we get an end to this heat. Now, this is the end of the heat. And I will check the differences and be right back with you. All right, so it looks like they're going to try to head into the next heat, but they're not. It's actually over with. Y'all seen there in the previous, there was only 1 or 2 laps difference. That's not enough to make Tom's 20 or 30 laps. He was behind Jay. Therefore, the what I have totaled up here was 210, 280, 210, 281, 204, 280, 186, 262. And then I had the final heat with all those added up to 239, 191, 221, 211 before the final heat. The final heat, there was only a difference between 4 or 5 laps between the guys. Like I said, Tom being at 670 before the final heat was not enough to make that up. So it looks like first, second, and third is going to be Bruce, Randy, and Jay. And that's it for this. We're going to be moving on here shortly. I'm going to go out there and put a little bit of time on Indy Heat. We're going to swap cameras over here just in a few minutes, and you're going to get to see that live here at Lanes Raceway.
No, they're fixing a race on that. No joke. Real life. I love badminton. Oh, sorry.
Take the microphone too so they can hear me. You'll have to open that up and get that firing on the so just come here. There it goes. It's good. Yeah, it's got to go to the cloud for sure. All right, T, come on over here next to this young fine gentleman. As you can see, this is what they're going to be racing. So just try to center it the best you can because it's set to be centered. But we have a racer here, and a racer here. I'm going to give them a credit here in a minute. The way this thing works, you got turbo buttons here to help boost the cars. They got to run around the track. The cars can be damaged. They can destroy themselves. And you got a certain amount of gas too. It'll tell you to pit. When you pit, you got to go in the little pit section here. You can ram other drivers out of the pit. So if they just pull in the pit, you can come in right behind them and hit them, and they'll run out of gas the next lap. So there's a lot of things you can do to try to win. But it's I want to let every one of these guys get a chance here to run it at least once so they get a feel for how it works. And then we're going to run into the actual match to where it's going to settle who got first, who got second, and who got third. You and Bruce, over here. Got to settle the score. My t-shirt. Oh, and that's another thing. There's a gas pedal down here. You got to use it. That's how you go. Huh? I got to give them credits.
I don't ever have any luck on this thing.
Says he doesn't have any luck. That was Tom. Tom was ready to give y'all a run for your money on Indy Heat. Tom's the reason why we're having this race. He was ready for some Indy Heat. He'll challenge any of you
to a race at Indy Heat for sure.
Hear that? He said he don't need no practice.
Is that what you said, Dad? No practice? Jazz?
I ran it twice earlier.
Bruce needs to run it. All right. All right. Do y'all all want? It'll be an oval. Do y'all all want to go? All right, Bruce, take hold of this white one here. Yeah. So this is just a practice round for Bruce. Bruce, there's a gas pedal down there. When you let off, it brakes, kind of similar to slot cars. So when you're on the gas, you're going. When you let off, you're braking. These turbo buttons help you turbo through the corners, and then you steer with the steering wheel, of course, around the track that's fixing to pop up. That's your next coming track there at Phoenix. That's where you're going to be racing. You're white. Now it's going to say you need to pit, and you'll have to go in pit lane. Now I don't know when that is, but you'll run out of gas and turbo and everything else. So Bruce actually not doing too bad for his first go on some Indy Heat. You just drive her there in the pit. There you go. You can damage out. You can destroy your car. You can run out of gas in this game. Sorry about that. It looks like we forgot to swap over to this camera. Nonetheless, it's swapped over now. We're not even into the race, but we're fixing to be. It wasn't swapped over. All right. So, in true fashion, Bruce done got him, and we're going to have to him out, though, because that's the track everybody's going to be racing on. And it always chooses... Let's make it easy. Kill it. And we'll turn it back on. All right. I hope everybody's ready, because I'm about to put 3 tokens in here. Randy Kirtley, you finish first. Do you want? You want red? All right. Bruce, you finished second. What color you want? You can blue? All right, Jay, looks like you're taking white, my man. If I can get it open. Well, this might not be the right key that I'm jamming in there. It isn't. All right, guys. Take your respectable spots. Let me have this. I'm a little taller than you. This is going to boil down to who gets first, who gets second, who gets third. Indy Heat. Red car, Randy like Jay Latham's going to take home a victory here, ladies and gentlemen. Jay Latham there, first place. Bruce in second. Randy's going to take home a third place. Jay, how does it feel? That feels great. Randy, how's it feel? Randy's already making excuses. Steering wheel messed up on the red. Thank you guys for watching, and appreciate you sticking in as long as you did.
Appreciate you guys for watching, and appreciate you sticking in as long as you did. Hope you enjoyed the finale there at Indy Heat on the arcade game. Congratulations to Jay boosting in there in front of Bruce Bullington right there at the end. Very close. Randy Kirtley having some issues on old Indy Heat as he wrecked that car on the pit section there. But anyways, thank you all for watching. God bless you. It's Don Kirtley Lanes Raceway. We'll see you next time.